Hey guys, how you doing? It's KJ here from the scariest movie ever made and riggedreality.com. And I have a story here that I believe is huge. It totally slid by me and I just kind of stumbled on it over the last few days, but I figured I'd make a video and just kind of bring it to your attention. Instead of recording the entire video like this, because it's like 5 minutes long, I'll attach it to the end of this. I just wanted to have a little foreword, I guess, first. But anyway, the idea here is that debt collectors are teaming up with prosecutors. And you really need to think about that, because in this video they're going to go into the idea that they're going to start going after student loans as well. And there's plenty of information on the internet about that, about the student loans coming back to really bite people, about the government getting involved. You know that Obama's White House has taken over the student loans. They're now under the government. So that was one step. And as soon as I heard that story, I guess it's a few years back now, big red flag, you know. I was like, man, that's just the beginning. And pretty soon, this could turn into, here in America, this could turn into a whole debtor's prison type situation. And debtor's prisons were around many, many years ago. Do a little research on those as well. Basically, if you're in debt, you're in prison, especially when you're in debt to the government. And you can't pay it back. They'll just put you in the clink for a while, and you'll pay it back that way. And I know it sounds crazy, and some of you might be like, not in America, not in my country. Well, you know, America's gone. I mean, it's dissipating daily, you know, quicker and quicker. And we're seeing more of this, of course, police state type stuff come in, and you know, security grid growing and all this stuff. But anyway, this is what happens, guys, when your country is consistently just printing money. We're getting to the point we can't do that anymore. You know about the QE3 and all this other stuff that's been going on, all the huge stimulus and all that. Well, that's a lot of money. I mean, trillions and trillions of dollars just going to different places that really aren't helping out the American people. Look up the whole thing with MSNBC. It was like $500 million they got from the stimulus. Gee, I wonder why. You know, well, they're totally an arm of the government. You know, they're a mouthpiece for Obama's White House. And nobody's really watching it anymore. So to keep it afloat and to keep it going, they gave him money. That's why when you watch MSNBC, it's all pro-Obama, all pro-Democrat, all pro-liberal, all anti-conservative. You know, the whole thing. It's ridiculous, really. But that's why, because they've been bought and paid for. Anyway, so what happens when the government spends all this money and they need more? Well, they're going to come after you. They're going to come after us. The little people, you know, and that's what's happening. Just do a little research on this yourself, guys. They're coming after pension plans. Social Security is going to be up there. Medicaid, of course, under attack. I mean, the whole thing. So, coming after your 401ks. You know, they're just going to bleed us dry. And it's the whole, you know, frog in lukewarm water scenario. You know, you've heard that a million times probably, but how do you boil a frog? You know, you don't just toss them into the boiling hot water. You know, toss him into the comfortable water, and you slowly turn the heat up to where he doesn't recognize it. And next thing you know, he's boiling and dead. Which is kind of what's happening to us with stuff like this. So anyway, here's an indication that they're turning the heat up just a little bit more. But debt collectors teaming up with prosecutors, and this in this video right here, they talk about it. But it could easily lead into student loans. And that's going to affect millions upon millions of people in America, including myself. I'm in a lot of debt for student loans. I imagine a lot of you out there are too. So, yeah, guys, huge story here. Not getting a lot of press, but I think it deserves it. As always, I tell people steal my videos. Feel free to share anything, and I think this one right here is worthy of sharing. So check it out. I'm just going to connect the video to the end of this right here. Debt collectors are teaming up with prosecutors, guys. They're coming after us in every way possible. And if you've got student loans, and if you're not paying them especially, then you know you better take notice, because this could ultimately put you in the clink. You know, put you in jail. So pay attention, guys. I think this is a really big story. Thanks again, and I'll catch you later.
New York Times is reporting that local district attorneys are teaming up with debt collectors in order to intimidate consumers into paying back money that they owe to merchants, but also paying extra fees that they don't need to pay for financial budgeting classes. Now, this is a fascinating story because what they're doing, the debt collectors, is they will take letterhead from the district attorneys and they will make the letter to the consumers appear to be from the district attorney themselves, right? And in it, it'll say that they are going to face prosecution unless they pay back the money that they owe to merchants. Now, this only has to do with bounced checks. And a lot of times, consumers will write checks without realizing that they have insufficient funds. And as a result, the check will bounce. And a lot of times people don't even know that that happened, right? And this is happening throughout the country. There are hundreds of district attorneys' offices that have done this. And these classes on budgeting cost between $150 to $250. So they will pay that money back. They will pay late fees and things like that. And then in addition to that, they will pay for the class. That money for the class goes to the district attorney's office, which is why the district attorneys will agree to allow the debt collectors to use their letterhead.
This story makes my blood boil because this is so many different things going wrong in the country encapsulated in one story. First of all, they're killing us with the fees. They cut taxes on the top brackets, and then they got to get the money somewhere, right? So what do? Fee on top of fee. And we've talked about this many times on the show. Parking now, traffic tickets, regular traffic tickets for regular speeding, $400, $500. It's who can pay that? It's insanity. And then when you can't pay it, they send the debt collectors after you. And now we're bringing prisons back. Mm-hmm. All you need is some sort of connection to the government. You can't. If you owe me money, I can't send you to prison, although they're trying to challenge that in some places, right? Because the corporations want to crush your spirit and they want to get every dollar they can out of you. So, hey, listen, if they can use the arm of the law, they'd love to do that. And we did a story about how they were trying to do that in Vegas because somebody owed money to the casinos, etc. But they find an excuse to use the government so then they can threaten to arrest you. So they can ruin your life, put you behind bars unless you pay up. And so these big corporations who decide, I'm going to collect on this debt, right? Whether it's money you owe to Walmart or whoever else, and I'm going to cut the government in on it. So they'll have an incentive to play ball. Right. Hey, you know what? Don't worry, DA's office. You don't have to do anything. And I'll get you $250 into this BS, education camps or whatever the hell they're sending them to, right?
Right. Now, look, let me give you some more detail into this story because it is illegal to knowingly write a check when you know that it's going to bounce, right? However, it's very, very difficult to prosecute those individuals because how do you prove that that individual knowingly did that? A lot of times it happens on accident. For instance, the New York Times profiles the story of Angela Yartz, and she wrote a $47 check to Walmart. She didn't realize that it bounced, and then months later, she got contacted by the DA's office, which was really the debt collectors using a letterhead from the DA's office. And it said, you will be prosecuted unless you pay the fees and unless you take this class, right? Now, keep in mind that in this country, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. But this assumes that you're guilty and you have to prove that you're innocent. So, they're paying hundreds of dollars for these classes that they don't need. They don't really face prosecution, and they're being lied to.
Yeah, and look, you take an original $47.95 she didn't even realize she owed. By the time she finds out what's going on, they say, okay, now you owe us $280. But wait a minute, what happened to the $48? Well, I added my fees, the government added their fees, and if you don't pay up, we're going to threaten to arrest you. Now, look, man, they're crushing us. They really are.
They definitely are. And by the way, the district attorneys love this because it means that they don't have to deal with handling these cases. Usually when there's a bounce check, the merchants will contact the DA's office. But in this case, the DAs don't have to do anything. They just let the debt collectors do the work for them. In fact, a former district attorney says the following: it was a way to deal with a fairly serious nonviolent crime going on in the business community, but not overburden the court system or the resources of the district attorneys.
Look, they're outsourcing fundamental government tasks to private corporations and companies, some of them large, some of them small, who profit off of imprisoning us, or at least in this case, threatening to imprison us. And I guarantee you some of those people actually did go to prison if they didn't play ball with the debt collectors, okay? And you can't do that. If you do that as the government, they have a financial motive to threaten us and imprison us to no end. We're not supposed to have debtors' prisons. We're going back to a time when the rich and powerful ruled everything and the rest of us had no rights. And it's sick, it's grotesque. And they do it in sometimes large ways, but they also do it in subtle, small ways like this. And most of the media doesn't talk about it at all. Credit to the New York Times for a very good story. But oftentimes, people up in CNN, and I only use them as an example, but in a lot of the establishment media think, I don't know anybody that owes Walmart $48. I don't know anyone who's getting hounded by the debt collectors, because everybody there is making a lot of money, right? So they don't bother reporting this. So it happens to so many of us, and by the way, you think you're alone. You think, well, it must just be happening to me, but you're not alone. It's happening to a lot of people in the country. It's just not being reported very much. And you know what you got to do? You got to fight back.